how it is going to strike at any moment and that it's not taking nuclear sites off of the table, and that the strike could come at any moment. What do you believe would happen? How would Iran respond? And maybe you can give us a little bit of context into what exactly is possible here and what would transpire should this incredibly catastrophic and dangerous move and threat that Israel and powerful voices on the U.S. side are threatening. We have Donald Trump and the elites who support Donald Trump also calling for the most intense targeting of Iran, particularly at the nuclear level.
Well, first of all, the Israeli regime can't do that much damage to the nuclear program because it is, for the most part, and all the key elements of it are deep underground. And therefore, the damage, they could do damage, which would have, let's say, mostly propaganda value. But in my opinion, if the Israelis do that, the Iranians would then have the opportunity to leave the NPT. And the Iranians could also change their nuclear posture, meaning they could move away from just simply having a peaceful nuclear program. Because Dr. Kamal Kharazi, who is an advisor to the leader and who is also close to the current administration, and who was the former foreign minister during President Khatami for 8 years, he said twice, at least twice that I know, that if Iran feels threatened, if there's since I don't remember the exact wordings, I'll refrain from going further. All I'll say is that he spoke of the possibility of Iran changing its nuclear posture under certain circumstances. Let's say if there's a nuclear threat or if there's maybe a threat to Iran's nuclear program. So an attack wouldn't have that much impact, but it could actually open a new path for the Iranian government. But there's also another scenario, and there is that possibility that the Americans, like the Israelis, would not carry out an attack on the nuclear program, and then the Americans would afterwards say, yes, the Israelis wanted to do this, and we encouraged them not to do it. We put pressure on them not to do so. So the attack was very limited, and therefore the Iranians have no excuse to retaliate. Something like that. In other words, pretend that the Israelis wanted to do this, but they listened to us, and so now the Iranians should not retaliate. Which is not, if that is the plan, it's not going to work. The Iranian retaliation will be very large, and it will be much more significant than the Israeli strike. And I think it will be different from the strike we saw last week. But let's imagine that the Israelis did carry out this attack, or an attack on the Iranian, let's say, oil industry or other key infrastructure. The military, the missile program and the defense programs, they're all very well protected, because you have to keep in mind that the Iranians have always been concerned about American aggression. So Iran has, over the years, built much of its infrastructure deep underground, as we see in Lebanon, as we see in Yemen, as we see in Syria. The airstrikes that the Israelis carry out, usually what they hit are small arms ammunition depots. They cause big fires, but they're not really that important. The real capabilities are deep underground in Syria. All of these countries, because of the U.S. Air Force and the Air Force that the West has given to the Israeli regime, protect themselves through these tunnels. So Lebanon has thousands of kilometers of tunnels. And that's why over the last few days, the Israelis have been badly beaten on the border, because Hezbollah is using its underground capabilities, moving troops around, surprising the Israelis, and killing large numbers of Israeli troops without giving many casualties. The Israelis, out of anger and despair, they go and bomb cities and slaughter women and children, but that's a different story. So if the Israelis strike, whether they carry out massive damage or create massive damage at, let's say, a petrochemical plant or an oil installation or a gas installation or any other a refinery or a series of refineries, that is possible. But the Iranian response will be very massive. It will be disproportionate because Iran is adamant that deterrence is created. This is a lawless regime. It will be allowed to do whatever it wants. The West supports the Israeli regime. We've seen how Western governments will support Israel till the last Palestinian, and now to the last Lebanese. They bomb simultaneously Syria, Iraq, Yemen, Lebanon. The West Bank, the occupied West Bank, was bombed where about 20 people were killed in a cafe. A whole family was wiped out in the West Bank. This has nothing to do with Gaza. This is a lawless regime which the West allows to do everything. It provides it with whatever it needs, do what it needs. So Iran has to create deterrence. There's no option but to create deterrence. So Iran will strike back very hard. Now, that could lead to further Israeli attacks, but we have to remember that Iranian missile and drone capabilities are huge. They are endless in a sense. Why? Because, as I said earlier, Iran prepared all these underground cities, underground missile and drone bases across the country because they were concerned about not Israel, but an American attack against the country. And the United States is far more powerful than Israel. So all these bases were created to strike the Americans in the Persian Gulf, American assets across West Asia, in the Red Sea, wherever American assets are, the underground bases were created to strike back at the Americans in case of an attack. So the Iranians have hundreds of thousands of missiles and hundreds of thousands of drones, and they can just send wave after wave after wave to Israel. The Israelis can shoot down 1,000 drones, spending $10 billion maybe, which would cause as much damage as if the drones struck the targets. But after 1,000 drones or 1,500 drones, they will have no more ammunition to stop them. The missiles, the Iranians have not used most of their advanced missiles yet. From my understanding, Iran has not used hypersonic missiles yet either, because that was in the news and I was under the impression that they did. But the point is that Iran can do a lot of harm to the Israeli regime as it is fighting in the south and the north and in the West Bank. So it's not in an ideal situation. It does not have, except for Jordan, which is the king is an ally of Netanyahu, but ordinary Jordanians despise the regime. So if the regime is substantially weakened, that could make it far more vulnerable, especially if people are demoralized.
Matthew chapter 24, verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, pestilences, earthquakes, and in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. And I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakak Wadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles in Great Millstone. Barakatham to you brothers as I teaching this truth with faith and sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, all right? And yeah, man. This guy, Esau, and Amalek, the top ones among them, they're they're about to get this shit on and popping, man. They're about to get World War III kicked off. They vowed to retaliate, on Iran and Iran sent almost 200 missiles over there in their last attack. And now, that the small headers, they want to retaliate for that shit. And they're the ones that's keeping, they're the ones that's fucking bombing all these different places over there, over there in several different regions. They're the ones keeping this shit up, Why? Because of that, what's his name? I believe he's the president, Benjamin Netanyahu, he knows that he has to keep, Israel in a perpetual state of war, because if he actually did accept those peace treaties, which they're not, that means they wouldn't be in a state of continual war, and they could, get him out of office, and then he'd have to go on trial to face fucking war crimes, the war crimes that he's fucking committing right now, fucking bombing all those, innocent people, and they're not innocent, but this shit is crazy, and they're about to get this shit, Lord willing, they kick this shit off, man. Lord willing, and just keep on escalating and escalating to the point where it's actually that, And this is Jeremiah chapter 49, verse 20. Therefore, the counsel of Yahweh that he hath taken against Edom, and his purposes that he hath proposed against the inhabitants of Teman. Okay? Surely the least of the flock, and that's Amalek, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. And that's and that's Amalek. That's, the small headers, they're going to draw America out, because America has, is not going to, America is not going to not defend, Israel, that place, the small headers, and when they go, and because they're steady bombing and they're steady escalating this war, and when they go all fucking out, America is going to swoop in and try to save them, but they're not going to be saved. America is going to be destroyed right along with America. Right along with, the small headers, Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitations desolate with them. So America is going to, hey, man, Lord willing, it keeps escalating, and, it happens, Lord willing. And, this is Revelation chapter 11 and verse 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third cometh quickly. This third world war is about to happen, man. It is about to happen. This is Isaiah. Get Isaiah. This is Isaiah chapter 9 and verse 5. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. Because, back in the day, back in like the way day, they used to fight with shields, swords, spears, bows and arrows. And it was with confused noise. But this war that's about to take place here in our time, this third world war is about to be with nuclear missiles. It's about to be with nuclear fucking missiles. And it's about to fucking go down, man. And you people out here that's not, heeding to the word of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai is going to be taken as a thief in the night, man. When society crashes, you're going to be taken as a thief in the night, When Esau comes to you with that sea hip, you're going to be taken as a thief in the night, man. Why? Because you did not heed the words of the prophets, man. So when all those things begin to happen, you know, it's going to be a fucking surprise to you. But not the hopefully elect, man. The hopefully elect, you know, you see what's about to happen. And let's go get Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 3. A prudent man foresee evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. And like I just said, because you didn't heed the words of the prophets, you know, you're going to be punished. But a prudent man foreseeth the evil. You know, a prudent man can see what's about to happen out here in America, which is Babylon the Great, man. If you go into the word evil, if you break it down, it means ill times, you know. And it's about and we're about to come into some very ill times, you know. And the prudent men, the men of Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, are hiding themselves, man. By having faith, you know, by believing in this word, by believing in Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, and ultimately doing the work, man. That's how you hide yourself. So that's pretty much it. That's all I want to go into in this lesson. I want to give all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I want to give double honors to the elders and the apostles in Great Millstone. Shalom. I hope this lesson was edifying.